From now on, my full-time job is finding a guy who's going to take care of me.
You guys are responsible for me and everything else that comes with me.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the MST channel where we talk about all things hypergamy. In today's video, we are back with chapter 10 of In Too Deep, Gambling for a Married Man's Heart. Mr. Hodges and I woke up exhausted. We went to dinner, then saw a movie, and sat up talking all night. He wanted to have X, but I told him my period was on, so we couldn't. Of course, I was lying, but I didn't want to give too much of myself away. He was disappointed, but he expressed to me that he would wait as long as he needed to. "Good morning, beautiful," he said as he rolled over and kissed me. "Good morning, Mike," I said as I kissed him back passionately. Mike was very hot, but I had to practice self-control, because in this game, you must have pussy discipline to get the most from these men. "Would you follow me somewhere today?" Mike asked. "Sure. Where are we going?" I asked curiously. "I'm meeting a colleague to pick up something, and I could use your company," he replied, smiling. "A colleague? Don't they know you're married?" I asked, concerned. "Trust me, in this case, that won't matter," he said mysteriously. I was somewhat concerned, but I also knew Mike wouldn't put me in any harm, so I just went with the flow. "I'm gonna get a workout in downstairs," he said, as he kissed me again. "Okay, baby, I'm gonna submit some paperwork and take a shower," I told him. As he walked out of the room, I couldn't help but admire how sexy he was, with those broad shoulders. I then realized he left his phone on the bed, and it started vibrating like crazy. I looked at the caller ID and it said Kathy. His wife was blowing him up. I decided not to touch the phone and went and took a shower. It's really messed up how relationships can fall apart after the woman stops wanting X. Mr. Hodges always professed his love for her, but said his needs weren't being met. I always took mental note of that, so I would know not what to do when I get to her age. After walking out of the shower, I did a light beat on my face. The whole time while doing my makeup, Mrs. Hodges kept calling. I then put on a cute black skirt and top that I purchased from Aritzia, along with my nude Louboutin pumps. I always wanted to look my best while out with Mr. Hodges. I flat ironed my hair for a nice, sleek look. "Damn, bitch," I said as I stared at myself in the full-length mirror. Mr. Hodges walked inside while I was fawning over myself and stopped dead in his tracks when he laid eyes on me. "You look beautiful, Sheila," he said while staring at me. "Thank you, baby," I responded. His phone started ringing again. He walked over and picked it up. I could hear Kathy yelling at him. "Where the have you been? And why are you not picking up my calls?" she said. She didn't even wait for him to greet her. As soon as he picked up the phone, she went off on him. Bad. Mr. Hodges tried to calm her down, but she was not having it. "I need to talk to you," she said. "You need to come home." Mr. Hodges hung up the phone on her and turned it off. I was shocked. I was standing there looking like a deer in headlights, because I knew that would only send her over the edge. Okay, he said as he turned to me, let's get ready to go. I didn't want to bring up the issue, so I just went along with it. I could tell he was pissed, but I started a conversation with him in the car as we headed wherever he was taking me, and I also turned on some music to help calm him down. I kind of felt bad for Mrs. Hodges, but to be honest, she called it on herself. Had she given him a chance to talk, maybe he wouldn't have hung up the phone on her. All I can say is I hope they work out their differences. About half an hour later, we pulled up to what seemed like a dealership. As we got closer, I saw the big sign on the front of the building. It said Audi. I started screaming inside, and then I looked at Mr. Hodges. Why are we here? I questioned. Well, I figured since I didn't have any meetings today, we could come and look at something for you, he said, still very mysterious. As we pulled up, we checked in, and he asked for a specific name, Mr. Hawthorne. A few minutes later, a man came from around the corner who I presumed to be Mr. Hawthorne and greeted Mike. Long time don't see. Hey, Jim, Mr. Hodges replied. You have that thing ready for me? Yes, I do. Right this way, Mike. Mike then held my hand as we proceeded to the back of the building. When Mr. Hawthorne opened the door, a black Audi Q8 was sitting there with a big red bow. Surprise, Sheila, Mr. Hodges said. I stood there looking confused. I was shocked, and my emotions were all over the place. I could hardly speak. Mr. Hawthorne then handed me the keys and said, go check out your new ride. The car was beautiful, I'm telling you, just gorgeous. I couldn't believe it was all mine. As I walked towards the car, my heart was racing. I could feel my bones getting weaker. I then stooped down in front of the car in disbelief, holding my face in my hands. All this for me? I asked. Yes, Sheila, it's yours, said Mr. Hodges. Get in. Mr. Hodges then walked over to me and took the keys out of my hands and opened the door. As I slowly stood up, I walked around to the driver's side and sat in my brand new Q8. I looked at the car, and then I looked at him, and then I looked at the car again, and then I looked at him, and I jumped in his arms and screamed, "Thank you, baby." "Anything for you, my love," Mr. Hodges said, responding. Mr. Hawthorne stood there with the biggest grin on his face. "My friend here tells me you have a thing for Audis," said Mr. Hawthorne. "Yes, I do," I nodded and smiled. The car was everything I could ever dream of. And I mean everything. This car had all the bells and whistles that I had imagined long ago, before ever dreaming I would be owning this. I used to go on the Audi website and customize the car I wanted in the exact way I wanted it. When Mr. Hodges asked me what type of car I wanted, I told him the exact details, everything down to the color of the leather. He did just that. I could smell the new car smell as I sat inside, and it low-key turned me on. As I closed my eyes and sat there for a second, I couldn't believe what my life had turned into. One job, one made position got me a new apartment, a new car, and my mom is now financially okay. I was able to help my friend out. I couldn't believe this. I just sat there in disbelief. I was very thankful. However, to be a mistress was never at the top of my list. So that would have to change. I no longer wanted the mistress position. But I couldn't think about that now. I just wanted to enjoy my ride. Mr. Hodges was talking to Mr. Hawthorne while I was over here fawning over my car. About 20 minutes later, Mr. Hodges and Mr. Hawthorne came over to me and told me everything was settled. And all I had to do was to sign some papers. I followed Mr. Hawthorne to his office, signed the papers, and I was free to go. Everything was fully paid for, and of course, the car was in my name. I love the fact that I didn't have a car note. What's wrong? Mr. Hodges said. Nothing. I'm just excited and I'm very happy. Thank you, Mike. All right, are you ready to go? Yes. In fact, the furniture should be delivered today, so I'm going to go over to the townhouse. All right, well, I'm right behind you, Mr. Hodges said. We drove over to the townhome. When we got home, we stood in the kitchen and we spoke for a little while. Then I heard the bell ring. It was my furniture. I was very excited. I went ahead and I let in the furniture people, and then I went back in the kitchen to speak to Mike. Mike, I just want to say thank you. Everything you're doing for me, I couldn't be more grateful. Sheila, you don't have to keep thanking me, he responded. I told you, anything to make you happy. Just say the word. I felt like a princess when he said that. What a difference a day makes. If you've reached this far in the story, please don't forget to thumbs up and comment your thoughts below. All right. Sheila? Mr. Hodges said. Yes, Mike, I responded. Thank you for always being here for me. Thank you for always listening to me. It's important that a man has a woman that he can listen to, that can listen to him. And it's good to feel heard. You're welcome, Mike, I said as I gave him a hug. Mike's phone started ringing. I guess he must have turned it back on the way over here. Of course, you guessed it, it was Kathy, his wife. Kathy then started yelling at him and told him that she needed to see him urgently. He told her that he would come over later on so they could have a talk, but she was not having it. She wanted to see him now. He told her that he would be home later on and she would just have to wait. She was so upset at his response that she hung up the phone in his ears. Mr. Hodges then put the phone in his pocket and turned back around to me and embraced me. I could tell the issue with Kathy was really weighing on him. But what can I say? All marriages have their ups and downs, I guess. Mike, why don't you just go home and talk to her? She seems really upset, and she really wants to talk. I would, but she has to calm down first, she responded. If she keeps acting this irrational, then we won't have a conversation because I refuse to go into a screaming match with Kathy. I gave him a hug and squeezed him tight. After the guys finished setting up the couch and the bed, Mike and I Mike and I thanked them for everything, and Mike gave them a tip. Well, I guess you just need a dining table now and some drapes, Mike said. Yes, I think so. I may need a little more than that as well. Maybe some pots so I can cook. Sounds like a plan. Restoration hardware was a little expensive, so I'm gonna need some more money. I know, honey, that's why I have this for you. One sec, I'll be right back. Mr. Hodges headed outside and came back in with another envelope. This time he gave me $50,000 and told me to get the rest of stuff I needed for the apartment. And he told me he put extra in there to get me anything else I needed. I gave him another passionate kiss. What can I say? Money made me wet. And then I remembered I can't give him any pussy because I told him I was on my period. If I hadn't told that lie, I would have probably fucked him right then and there in the kitchen on the island. But I had to hold out. Although I couldn't fuck, I could give him head though. So I got on my knees and gave him the sloppiest head ever. Every time I deep-throated the dick, I could feel his body shaking in excitement. He came in about 3 minutes. After that, we went upstairs to my room, and he laid down and passed out on the bed. I guess he was exhausted, or maybe I just did a damn good job. I then went ahead and brushed my teeth and gargled with my Crest mouthwash. By the time I got out of the bathroom, he was snoring heavily, knocked out. I wasn't really staring at him though, to be honest. I was looking at my brand new bed and how exotic and sexy it was. God damn, I really leveled up. Mr. Hodges woke up about 2 hours later from his nap. I had just finished showering and changed into a matching legging set. Mr. Hodges kept Mrs. Hodges kept blowing up Mr. Hodges, so he told me he would be going home to straighten things out. I kissed him goodbye and grabbed some stuff to go back to the Four Seasons. Maria had texted me earlier while he was sleeping and told me her and her sister were coming by the hotel to hang out with me. I really needed some girl time, so I was excited. I packed my duffel bag and drove over to the hotel. Maria and her sister were waiting outside for me when I pulled up and hopped out of the car. Maria came to greet me. "Girl, is this your new car?" "Yes," I answered, screaming. The valet stared at us like we were crazy. "OMG, girl, you really have that man's head locked." "Well, that's the plan," I said. I got my bag from the back seat and walked inside the hotel with Maria. Maria's phone went off. It was her sister telling her that she's outside, and we waited for her in the lobby. Melissa walked up to us and rushed over and hugged us both. I haven't seen her since summer started. "Hey, Melissa," I greeted her. "Hey, girl, haven't seen you in forever." "It's been a while, for sure." Melissa was doing her second year in college this fall. We had all planned that when Maria and I graduated, that we would all attend the same college. But little did they know I was reconsidering the whole college thing. We should go to the pool, Maria suggested. Sure, let's do it. We got to the room and changed. When we got to the room, I changed into the black Gucci bikini Maria picked out for me the other day at the mall. Maria and her sister also changed. Maria's sister had all the designer pieces. Her boyfriend was super wealthy and gave her whatever she wanted. She put on her Chanel bikini with her Chanel slides and matching sunglasses. This place is nice, Maria said as she walked around the room. Is your man coming back tonight? She asked. No, he's not, I responded. I knew he and Mrs. Hodges had a lot to iron out, so I doubt I would see him for the rest of the night. We went downstairs to the pool and hung out for the rest of the evening. When we went back upstairs, Maria told me that she got a job babysitting. That's great, girl. I'm happy for you, I said, excited. Thanks, Sheila. But here's the thing. The woman I'm babysitting for, I believe, is your ex-boss's younger sister. After the interview, I was waiting for my lift when a woman came over to the house, bursting in tears. When my boss asked her what was wrong, she said, I think Mike is cheating on me. When her sister asked her how she knew, she said, ever since she got back from Tennessee, Mike's been acting weird. And ever since the maid quit, she's been spending less time at home. My new boss then asked her if she suspected the maid. She said one thing raised her eyebrow about the maid was when she stopped calling her husband Mr. Hodges and started calling him Mike. That's when I froze and realized they were talking about you and Mr. Hodges. What? I shouted. Yes, girl, Maria said. That's why I wanted to come over to warn you in person. Do you know this sister? Maria asked me. No, I don't. I only know of the one in Tennessee, I responded. Well, she has a much younger sister, and it sounds like her sister doesn't live too far from them either. When her sister interviewed me, she told me that she was just returning from her 1-month-long trip in France and that she was looking for a new sitter. So, I think you didn't know about her because she was out of the country on vacation. I stared at Maria in amazement. Girl, what else did she say? She started asking Mrs. Hodges about the bank account. She said, if you ever want to know if your man has extracurricular activities, that she should check the bank account. Mrs. Hodges then told her that no money was missing from their U.S. bank accounts and that Mr. Hodges had control over the offshore bank accounts. So she would try to get a hold of those to see if money was missing. Mrs. Hodges then told her sister that she had no reason to suspect you, but you were wearing some pretty expensive jewelry on the day when you were leaving. Her sister asked her where you got the jewelry. Mrs. Hodges replied to her and said that you told her that it was a gift. Her sister told her that seemed harmless, but she had to make sure to check out all the accounts. I couldn't believe what Maria was telling me. I couldn't wait to tell Mike what I have learned. Girl, I wish I could tell you more, Maria said, but my lift came right around that time and I couldn't get to hear the rest of the conversation. I tried my best to eavesdrop as long as I could. It's okay, girl. Thank you so much, and thank you for telling me, because we would have been blindsided. That's why I told you. He gets no pussy, Maria said. You have to secure enough cash because the way how things are going, his wife, Mrs. Hodges, is going to be doing some digging. And if the money slows down, you want to make sure you are okay. So if I were you, I would get a big lump sum from him to hold over until things calm down at the house. You're right, girl. I'll make sure I get him over here early in the morning. And there you have it. That was part 10 of Into Deep, Gambling for a Married Man's Heart. Are you guys enjoying the story so far? What do you think of the latest developments? Do you think Sheila's going to try to get as much money? I don't know. Let me know down below.